At some time in the life of every child, there's fear. Some are afraid of strangers and some are afraid of the dark. For others, there's a fear of the unknown. Now, I would love to tell you that as we grow older, that these fears go away, but often they don't. Now, I love people, but there are some that frighten me, especially those who have committed horrible crimes. I am 67 years old and I still feel fear when lights go out suddenly and I'm plunged into total darkness. And the unknown? Well, let's just say that this type A control freak would rather not wait for medical test results or procedures. Fear is normal. It's an emotion, but I've heard some suggest that being afraid is a sin or a lack of faith. After all, God tells us not to be afraid, John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Did you know that the King James Version of the Bible has the phrase fear not listed 129 times, and the phrase do not be afraid is listed 50 times? However, I don't see them as commands or even reprimands. I see them as comfort statements. Isaiah 41:13, For I, the Lord your God, will hold your right hand, saying to you, Fear not, I will help you. God is the perfect, loving Father, and He wants us to know that He is there for us. When I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, I was afraid. The mass was the size of the palm of my hand, and I knew it was fast growing because I'd had a mammogram and doctor exam just a few months before. I made the terrible discovery that instead of growing normal cells, my body was producing cancer cells. I'll admit, I was afraid to die. Oh, not the actual death part, but the suffering I knew I would go through before the release to Jesus. I was afraid of what might happen to my husband and our 3 children. And I've always been terrified of needles. I knew that was going to be involved, but I think I was the most afraid of the unknown, not knowing exactly what the future would bring. Now, if you've experienced cancer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As long as I stayed busy and kept my mind occupied, I did okay. But at night, when I laid my head on my pillow, that monster would slowly creep out from underneath my bed and consume me. Yes, I believed in God, and yes, I knew I was saved, but it didn't stop the fear. So every day I prayed constantly for strength, wisdom, and protection. And every night I prayed for peace, knowing that God was in control and that no matter what happened, it was going to be okay. Now, this was not a natural reaction. It's natural to be afraid, but I wanted to have a faith-based reaction. So I prayed. Every woman listening to my voice has a story. If that story doesn't involve a season of fighting fear, trust me, it will. But we serve a God that cares. He answers prayers. He's there for us in both good times and in bad. Psalms 18:2, The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength in whom I will trust, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. God was there for me every step of the way. He gave me wisdom, courage, and strength to make it through 9 months of chemo, radiation, and surgery. He blessed me with people who cared and donated days so I wouldn't miss a paycheck. Others brought food and bought and wrapped Christmas gifts for my children. Money arrived in the mail with no name on the envelope. Prayers were said, cards sent, phone calls made. Everything I needed, God provided through the people around me. And eventually, I felt blessed and at peace. The more I realized that I didn't have to be in control or know the future, the smaller that fear monster became. I learned so much from that experience, and God blessed my family in so many ways. I am so grateful. So, ladies, if you are going through a season of fear, take heart. God loves you and He will meet your needs. I believe that fear is not a sin, but it can be a journey to a greater faith in God and more appreciation for the loved ones around us if we go through that frightening time trusting the Lord. Romans 8:31b. If God is for us, who can be against us? So go in peace, my sisters, and never forget that God loves you, and so do I.